Hey, and welcome back to another episode in Adventures in UFO Hunting. And have we got a treat for you? We went out to Guffey, Colorado with about 30 UFO investigators to set up a Skywatch, and it was so beautiful. The sky was dark and the satellites were everywhere. We set up our cameras to face directly west, centered on Mars and the constellation Gemini, and in the first 10 minutes we saw over 50 satellites. This is playing in real time. Some people speed up their satellite footage to make it more dramatic, but we sure didn't need to. Dark skies in Guffey, Colorado, and our low-light A7S II cameras did all the work. There were a few tumbling and flashing satellites, but by now I bet you've noticed that the majority of these satellites look like they're going in the same direction. And they are. It's a satellite train. It's a Starlink satellite train. I'll tell you how we know that in a moment. But most of the time when we see these satellite trains, they're very dramatic and close together, and there's no mistaking it's a satellite train. This satellite was very faint, but it is traveling on the same trajectory as the others. But watch as another brighter one appears and seems to pass it in the night sky. That's because this first faint one is probably another Starlink satellite, but it's much higher in altitude than the brighter one. It's higher up, therefore farther away, therefore much dimmer, and even though they're both at orbital altitude, the higher one appears to be going slower than the brighter, lower one. It is so fun to see this kind of detail in the night sky. But even though they may start their space journeys close together, they are designed to spread apart in the sky to cover it better, and that's what we see here. Satellites that are clearly traveling the same approximate path, but are spread out. Starlinks go around the Earth approximately every 90 minutes, and if you could watch each pass, you'd see the satellites were further and further apart with each pass. We had the pleasure of publishing the UFO Watchtower sightings from 2000 to 2023. The Watchtower received at least a half a dozen reports of the first satellite train that flew over the San Luis Valley. Initially, people seeing lights traveling in the sky in formation assume that they are UFOs. In years past, I'd have said the same thing. However, we know that these are Starlinks because their information is published and we can verify the passes. If you go to websites like Heavens Above, you can find out when these satellite trains are passing over you in your skies and see them. It's really quite stunning to watch. Starlinks go up in groups between 40 and 60, and I'm sure that we saw more than 40 on this train. Again, count them and let me know how many you caught in the comments. I put up a faint ruler at the bottom of the screen to show you that it may appear that these all are on the same trajectory, but they don't all rise at the same spot. The arrows for the first couple originated at 4.5 on the ruler, and now you can see that those arrows originate around 4. We are looking directly west, and the azimuth, or the direction on the horizon, is changing with each new satellite. Even though the angle is constant, each satellite is rising just a little more south than the last one. According to Gemini, Starlinks will usually orbit around 340 miles up. But when they're still a visible train, they're still climbing to their destination. Remember the faint Starlink we saw at the beginning of this video? There's a good chance that it was up at the destination altitude of 340 miles above the Earth. As you can see from the arrows, the satellites we caught went in all different directions. That's because there are so many types of orbits that they're put on. Polar, elliptical, geo-synchronous, just to name a few. It is funny, but you won't realize that you're seeing a geo-synchronous satellite because it would stay in one place in the sky over you. The stars would actually pass behind it, very slowly of course. But they're so far away, you can usually only see them when the sun catches one of their panels and they appear to blink in the sky. In a future video, we'll show you the night we caught one of those with our camera. We saw a light in the sky blink from the same place several times. We thought something was hovering. Not a star, not a typical satellite. We thought we had something. It took a bit of research, but we debunked it. And this kind of research is really fun. Subscribe to the channel and go on these adventures with us. This Starlink is rising at about 3.25, and we've got another non-Starlink traveling from left to right up on top. The skies were just so alive this night in Guffey, and our cameras were only capturing a small slice of it. Gotta love a dark sky. That Starlink rose a little bit more north than the last one. You can see they're spreading out, taking positions farther and farther apart relative to each other so that they can cover more and more of the sky with every pass. It was great with 50 people out there all looking up at the sky and then getting this treat. It was really a fun night. Sky watching is amazing. We were able to determine that these Starlink were up about 252 miles up above the Earth. We also calculated the altitude of the satellite that seemed to be going much faster from left to right, and it was at 205 miles up, which is why it appeared to be moving much faster. If we assume that these objects are just orbiting the Earth and are flying at orbital velocity, we can determine their altitude above the Earth by digitizing a couple of the frames that they appear in. Then we grab the right ascension and declination of a few of the stars around them, and we can calculate the altitude. If we only have one camera, though, we do have to make a couple of important assumptions. That's why 2 cameras are much better when sky watching. There's another Starlink for you. Oh, 2 in a row. There you go. Satellites will always be orbiting around 130 miles or higher. Any lower and they deorbit pretty quickly. It's a matter of a few hours if a satellite ever gets down that low. So when we see satellites moving really fast, I often wonder if they're really at orbital altitude. If they're flying in a straight line, no one reports them. And if they are reported, the sighting is dismissed pretty quickly as a satellite. Our 2-camera system is designed to be able to detect UFOs in what we call the no-fly zone, above 20 miles, where air-breathing aircraft can't fly, and less than 100 miles, where no satellites live. No one should be flying there. Tonight our cameras were too close together to see enough parallax to calculate that kind of distance, but we'll have more skywatches when the cameras are set up to detect previously undetectable UFOs. That's the goal of UFO-Track, to create a network of skywatchers that get alerted when something's in their area, and we can get multiple photos or videos of the same event so that we can get altitude and speed and real size of the things we're seeing. That's why you should go to UFO-Track.com and join our real-time UFO alert network. So do we have any proof that craft fly in this area of the sky? Well, we do. Thanks to Project Blue Book. Check out the Project Blue Book playlist on UFO-Track. Link in the description. In the over 12,000 cases Project Blue Book investigated, it left approximately 700 still on the books as unidentified. We plotted these and categorized them, looking for things like the altitude the UFOs were flying at. And there were several that either by radar or other military instrumentation claimed that the UFOs were in the no-fly zone. And since Sputnik didn't go up till 1957, the craft flying above 20 miles during those years were technically in a no-fly zone. So yes, we believe there are plenty of craft up there. We just have to have the right instrumentation to detect them. Wow, and back to Guffey. Look at how much the azimuth has moved to the south. That one was roughly 2 1/4. We didn't move this camera at all during the shoot, so the satellites are coming up in a different spot on the horizon. It's measurable. Even though nothing paranormal was detected in these 10 minutes, we can glean a lot of information from this video, and that's what good UFO investigations are all about. That's how hard evidence is going to prove that we are not alone. I don't know if you've been counting along, but that was our 46th satellite in this video. Here comes 47, a little faint, and 48, Starlink. Again, this was such a small slice of the sky. It was a really cool night. 49 and 50 right there together, buddies in space. All right. There were 54 on this video total that I saw. Remember to comment if you saw any others. I also want you to tell me in the comments if you have great dark skies around you. We're always on the lookout for our next great skywatch. We've been to national parks and the mysterious valley, and we've seen things we can't identify even in our own backyard. But as you can see, dark skies are where it's at. Feel free to drop a comment about the things you've seen in your skies that you can't explain. We're always open to hearing your stories too. Coming up towards the end, there's still a couple more to go, but they did get fewer and further between towards the end here. I bet you'll be shocked to see just how much the Starlinks moved on the horizon. Stay tuned, you'll see what I mean. Comes another one, a little fainter, but it's there. Hang with me for a few more seconds, and then we'll just call it a night. It was a beautiful night. Again, this was Guffey, Colorado, and it was with the people that were taking the photo forensic boot camp for MUFON. The beautiful, beautiful dark skies of Colorado. If you haven't ever experienced it, you got to come. Oh, look, we got a plane. Just so you know, those weren't planes. This is what a plane looks like. That was the last Starlink that I saw. I put up the red arrow for you to see where the first one was that came up on the horizon. And that was a pretty significant shift, especially for just 10 minutes of star watching. Really grateful this satellite train was always in the camera view. Taking video and analyzing it is how we're going to be able to detect the exotic things flying up around in our skies. And that's what UFO-Track is all about, figuring this out. What a great Skywatch. Thank you for joining me on it. And please go to UFO-Track.com and find out more about what we are doing to bring about real disclosure in a proactive way, and how you can be a significant part of it. Until then, take care and keep looking up.